Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech,
And this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
and welcome back to the Snob OS Show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. We definitely want to welcome you back to the show. This is episode 222 of
Choo,
the
choo,
Snob
choo.
OS Show. So we definitely want to thank you for hanging in there. As always, we definitely want to thank those who have been supporting us for so long, keeping up with us on social media, making sure they download and listen to the podcast, making sure that they are supporting us financially. If you want to support us financially, if you've been rocking with us for that long and you want to help make sure we keep the lights on, definitely visit patreon.com/snoboscast, where in addition to, or in exchange for you supporting the show financially, you do get some perks. You get to watch the show live and comment as we record, which also means you get the show a little bit earlier. We record on Wednesdays, but the show doesn't air until Friday. So that is 2 extra days of getting the show a little bit early. And like I mentioned, you become a part of our community to where you can contribute to the show as well. So definitely, once again, go to patreon.com/snobboyscast and become a member of the snobist community. So having said that, we're going to get right into the show. We always start with the lowdown where we talk all things Apple. Last week, we talked about iOS 16.5.1. And one of the questions I had particularly was, why isn't Apple using this new rapid security response feature that pushes out important security updates automatically without forcing users to manually update when an important security thing? Because last week, like I said, we mentioned iOS 16.5.1 came out and Apple said, oh, this is important. This is important. You got to
Mhm.
update. You got to update. So again, the question was, well, why can't you just update it for me if it's that important? Which is the whole purpose of the rapid security response. We couldn't figure out why they didn't do that. So it looks like, fast forward to today, looks like it's a simple reason, right? Because iOS 16.5.1 wasn't just a security update. Specifically, there
Hmm.
was um, a fix for the Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter, which was preventing charging. So if you have an iPhone that has a Lightning port and you want to connect it to a USB-C, USB 3 camera adapter for like connecting it to like a DSLR or connecting it to any sort of um not proprietary, there's another word for it, another
Third
component.
party?
Yeah, there's another word. I can't think of the name
Okay.
of it. Another thing. If you want to connect your phone with a lightning port to something else, um, it was not preventing, it was causing some issues, right?
Hmm.
So Apple was like, all right, well, iOS 16.5.1, yes, it's important. We want you to update. But in addition to that, there's this one feature we need to fix as well. So that's why they couldn't make it just a rapid security response update. So hopefully
Hmm.
going forward, if there are any other bugs, not bugs, if there's any other security threats, potential threats that Apple needs to fix, maybe they can just push that out in future rapid security response updates.
So what I'm taking from this is they're taking the name of the tool Rapid Security Response literally to the letter. So if
Right.
it doesn't include anything related to security, then it cannot be pushed as an RSR build.
Right. Because I guess they very well could have, right? They could have put it out, the important stuff that Apple was trying to fix that was a part
Hmm.
of this security response. They could have pushed it out as a security response anyway, but they would have
Hmm.
also had to put out another two
Yeah.
iOS 16.5.1 update just for this Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter, which
So
kind
they
of is
saved
like,
themselves some time by just doing it all in one.
oh, not just that. It's like it's two things, right? Instead of just saying, now they just like, all right, well, instead of making two small things, we'll just make it one. And then
Yeah.
just do it both in that one
Right.
go, and then
Yeah.
just encourage people to update versus
Strongly encourage them to update.
right.
Yeah.
Instead of automatically updating it, and I have to go in and manually update something.
Yeah, I know how we know how people are. It's like, why I gotta do this? You just did something. Why? Why? And that would be a whole another thing. How we're having the conversation of why didn't it come out as a rapidly? Why did I have to do it twice? Why couldn't you
Mhm.
just do it for me? So I get it. Now I get it. I get it.
All right. So the next thing I had to talk about is it looks like Apple trade-in values are changing.
Hmm.
If you do decide to, if you've got an older device and you want to trade it, upgrade it to the latest and greatest, Apple has a trade-in program that will offer you credit towards the purchase of your new device, or just give you credit in general to buy something else. And it looks like some of those prices are changing. For the most part, the values are going up. According to this list, we'll make sure we put the link to show notes so you can actually see all the different items that are changing in trade-in value. But it looks like most of the iPhones, all the way down to an iPhone 7, the trade-in value is up. So, for instance, if you have an iPhone 7, Lord knows why you still have an iPhone 7, but that's none of my business. You're
I
looking
know
at,
someone who has. I know people
do
who have.
you?
Yeah,
Bless their hearts.
I've been trying to encourage them just to let it go.
Right.
Come on to the new stuff. It's great
Well,
over here. I
right.
promise.
Well, now it may be their time, because if you're looking to trade in an iPhone 7, of course, it's got to be in good condition. It can't be
Yeah.
falling apart. All the
Right.
buttons got to work. It's got to be functional, right?
Right.
But if you do, the iPhone 7 has jumped up, for example, just a small sample, to up to $40 to trade it in for a new device. Now, $40 don't seem like a lot of money. Definitely, I would encourage you to go other routes if you're trying to sell your products for the best maximum possible value. Go to eBay, go to, I hate to say it, but go to Facebook
Facebook
Marketplace.
Marketplace.
Oh, I absolutely hate that place. But if you're willing to put up with it, I guarantee you'll get a little bit more money than Apple. But the benefit of going to Apple is you don't have to worry about that. You take your
Right.
phone, they look at it, they give you the credit, and you go purchase same day, get something new, right? So an
Right.
iPhone 7 is like up to $40. The biggest price I see on this is an iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is um the I think I have a 14. So the 13 Pro Max, you can get up to $630 trade in value for something new. So if you're waiting for the iPhone 15 that's coming out in September and you have a 13, hold on to it. Make sure you take good care of it. You can get like a nice little chunk of change for that when you're looking to upgrade to a newer device. But it looks like some of these products, like for instance, Max, like for instance, for my daughter, she just turned 13, so I finally bought her a Apple Silicon Mac Mini.
Nice.
So she handed me her 2012 13-inch MacBook Air. And I kind of went on here to kind of see, all right, what's the value for a 13-inch? I think it has 500 gigs of storage and
Mm.
maybe 8 gigs of RAM. I went on there and I couldn't even find it. So,
Like,
and
nah,
those,
we're good on that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So they're like, if you want to give it to us, we will kindly
We take it off your
recycle it
hands.
for you so you don't have to be bothered with it. But yeah, forget about it. Right. So
Right.
there are some values to where they are changing. Like if you have an older product, don't expect to see your device on this list. But if you have a, more current device, if you have a MacBook Pro, you have a 2019 or 2020 MacBook Air right before they switch to the Apple Silicon, you definitely want to take a look at this list and see if you can get a little bit more change for that device.
Nice.
All right.
I'm
The
a
last,
and I'll just say I'm an Apple hoarder. I never sell anything back. I just have a closet full of old Apple stuff that just there. It's a thing.
yeah, no, all these
I can't let it
boxes
go.
behind me,
Uh-huh.
they're empty. They
Mine, the ones I have behind me, they are empty because I only display the boxes of actively
stuff that
used
you're using.
devices, and I
Yeah.
have just like a whole Apple closet just with stuff, like
Yeah,
all the
no.
Apple stuff. Yeah,
No,
I'm a hoarder
I'm
that
quick
way.
to use the value of my old products to get the latest and greatest regularly, unless in the case, like you said, with my daughter, to where me, I typically trade up pretty quickly
Mhm.
versus my kids, versus my wife. They hold on to their products a little bit longer. So, as the longer you keep it, the lower the value goes. But at the
Absolutely.
same, yeah, but I am savvy enough to go to like an eBay, go to like there's some other third party apps.
Mhm.
There's one that I use a lot that's a little bit better than Facebook Marketplace. What is the name of it?
And I just don't wanna be bothered. It's effort, and I don't wanna expend that effort at all. The least amount of effort I can do, I can give. When it
Yeah,
comes to this, it's like, "You know what? I don't have it. I don't
yeah.
have it."
OfferUp. OfferUp is the name of the third party. So I'll start with eBay,
Mhm,
and then there's some tricks to get the maximum amount on eBay. Then I go to like a third party app called OfferUp, and even there's some, you got to learn some tricks in order to make sure you get the value. And then if that don't work, then I gotta rack my brain on the decision to either list it on Facebook Marketplace, which that is a mess, or just have Apple rake me over the coals. Like, yeah, we give you $12 for that, knowing they're gonna turn right back around and sell that to a third party reseller for triple that. And then they end up on Facebook Marketplace. So I'm fighting with the people. I'm selling my products on Facebook Marketplace with the same people who have bought from Apple and then turn around trying to make a profit on Facebook Marketplace. So it's a
mhm.
lot.
Yeah.
All right, so last one I had in Apple is the My Stream feature is shutting down. For instance, if you don't have iCloud storage, if you're not paying for one of the higher end tiers of iCloud storage or iCloud photo storage,
Mhm,
you can still use the My Photo Stream feature, and that will utilize the cloud in order to synchronize your photos amongst all your devices. So if you take a photo and you've got My Photo Stream enabled, as soon as you take the picture on your phone, you can see it on your iPad, you can see it on your Mac without necessarily subscribing to iCloud photo updates, right? Well,
mhm.
Apple's like, enough of that. I'd say it looks like at the recording of this show, it's the My Photo Streams probably already went away on your device because it started on
Mhm.
June 26th. And then complete shutdown will be a month later on July 26th. So again, if you are taking part of the photo stream service and you have not decided to update to iCloud Drive to where they give you the 5 gigs for free. And then after that, you got to pay for, amount of storage, which is not expensive. It's like $2
Mhm.
for like, I think 500 gigs or something like that. You will have to do that, or your device, your photos won't be deleted. They'll just go, you just won't be able to synchronize them across all your devices. So if
Right.
all of your pictures are originating from your phone, they'll just be on your phone. You won't be able to see them on your iPad. You won't be able to see them on your Mac unless you then subscribe to one of the iCloud Drive tiers. And then you'll be able to use iCloud Photo Library to synchronize them across all your devices. So the feature itself of synchronizing all the pictures per your devices is not going away. It's just how you do it. Apple's
Right.
forcing you into paying for it, which is fair. I mean, if you like the
It's a
feature,
lot. Yeah.
yeah, you like being able to take your pictures and immediately share them via your iPad or your Mac, there's a value in that you just gonna have to pay.
Right.
But
Gotta
just
dish out a little bit of money for that.
right, right, especially if you use it, right? So
Yeah.
just want to let people know that, if you think your pictures have been deleted, they're not being deleted, and the feature still exists. You're just gonna have to upgrade and pay for iCloud Photo Drive.
Yep.
All right, so that's all we have in the lowdown. We're going to move into second string where we talk all things tech in general. So I mentioned at the top of the show, I have a young one who is now old enough
Mhm.
to uh, subscribe and sign up for a Cash App account. I think it is a dope service for tweens and teenagers to understand how money works and to also get into purchasing things on their own. Because one of the
Mhm.
things as a father, or just as a parent in general, but specifically as a father and specifically as a techie, I definitely want my children to learn how to use technology more so than just playing around on social media. Of
Mhm.
course, as a parent, I want them to know how money works. I want them to understand the importance of keeping track of your money, how much you have, how much you spent, where you spent, things of that
Mhm.
nature. And the best way to do that is get them a bank account or a checking account, right? Well, bank accounts and checking accounts are kind of, in my opinion, kind of old school versus
Outdated a
now.
bit.
Yeah, versus now you got Cash App, you got Apple Cash, you got PayPal, Venmo, all these places, and to where
Mhm.
all the places that my kids shop, they take these payments. So I
Mhm.
definitely want to make sure my kids are resilient enough to where if they're out and about and they just have their phone, they can still make purchases because I don't want them
Right.
having to be out somewhere with their friends or
Yeah.
wherever and they ain't got no money. They calling
Because
me.
most of these kids don't have cash. Most kids now, I mean, most adults don't carry cash.
Right, and then some kids are so sheltered by their parents to where, if they run into an issue, they I don't know what to do. I don't know what to
Mm.
do. Let me call my mama. Let me call my daddy. I don't raise my
Mhm.
kids that way. I want my kids
Right.
to be able to figure it out. Right.
Have some autonomy about themselves. Yeah.
Right. So all the way around the world to say, once my daughter turned 13, I signed her up for a Cash App account. In addition to being able to sign up for a Cash App account, they give you a debit card to where you
Mm.
can use that debit card to actually make purchases so long as you have that money, that balance in your Cash App account. Well, as soon as I signed her up for a Cash App account, this story came out to where there is a Cash App glitch that is double charging users for purchases. And of course, customer services, these new startups, these new tech companies, ain't no such thing as customer service. You better send them an email or tweet at them and pray that they respond. But
Right.
it looks like there's a Cash App is investigating a glitch, causing users to be double charged for cash card transactions, which has resulted in a negative account balance for some customers. So, like I mentioned that before, when you sign up for a Cash App account, you can opt to get a cash debit card, use that as a regular debit card, and the money will come directly out of your Cash App. Well, this Cash App glitch is double charging people to where
Mm,
if my
mm, mm.
kids got $30 in their account and they buy something for $29.95 and Cash App double charges them to $60, they're already in a negative and there could be fees and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
basically, I'm just putting people on notice to where if you have kids or you yourself uses
Check your
Cash
Cash App
App
balance.
right on a regular because Cash App, like I said, they've got you can buy Bitcoin, you can buy and sell stocks, you can actually do direct deposit into your Cash App to where
Mm.
you get a you they if you want to, you can opt in to where they give you a routing number and an account number. You use that to give it to your job and say, when I get paid, I want direct deposit in my Cash App account. Imagine getting your check in your Cash App account, you using your debit card to make purchase, similar to how you do a bank check card, but you getting double charged. That messes up your whole financial situation, right? So just wanted to
Right.
make sure people out there, of course, users took to social media to complain about the duplicate charges. Some business owners called Cash App to fix the issue as they were receiving concern calls from customers complaining about extra charges. Because the first thing I'm gonna do is
Mhm.
if I buy something and I get double charged, I ain't calling Cash App. I'm calling the place where I purchased it from. It's like, yo, y'all trying to get over on
What
me.
you doing? Right.
Right. So that's freaking out the business owners because if you can't fix it, I ain't coming back to your store. So they call in Cash App to try to fix the purchases. All these tweets are popping up on social media. So according to this story we had on USA Today, the company Cash App posted a tweet Tuesday to alert users it has discovered the technical issue causing duplicate charges. Customers who were impacted will be notified and refunded. So I just wanted to put it out there, as techie as things are, like Nica mentioned, there are people who, present company included, I don't have a dollar to on me if something were to go down. It's like, look, I either need to be able to give you a credit card, cash app you some money, or we just
Mhm.
looking at each other because we got a
Like,
problem. Right. So as techie as we are, that is not without its risks. So
right,
definitely want to let folks know, basically, open up your Cash App, check your transactions, make sure you're not getting charged duplicate charges. And if you are, definitely reach out to Cash App support because they are aware of it, but still you need to do your due diligence and just don't assume that Cash App is just going to automatically fix it. You make sure
right,
you are documented that you've been duplicately charged and you have reached out to somebody to let them make them aware.
right. Because this is your money,
This is your
and
money.
they're not gonna care so much about your money. Now, if it was
Mm-mm.
them, then sure, maybe. But
Right,
no, it's
exactly.
gonna be on you. It's gonna be on you to make sure that, you're good and you're straight.
Well, 100%. All right. So the next story I got here is we talked a couple of weeks ago about electric vehicles, specifically Tesla and its supercharger network, which seems to be the forefront, the leader when it comes to nationwide charging options. And that's being recognized by companies like we mentioned Ford. We also mentioned General Motors, who have recently signed on to share the Tesla charging network. And it seems like the folks are following the train right up because it seems like Volvo, its upcoming electric vehicles are joining the Tesla supercharger bandwagon. Volvo, according to this story, is the fourth big name automaker to announce support for Tesla's EV charging connector after Ford, GM, and Rivian, which is kind of like
And
the
this is the
newcomers.
first European, and it's the first European. I think that's probably the biggest thing. It's the first non-US
Right.
car maker that's gotten in on this.
Exactly, exactly. So again, for current Volvo EV owners, which short story, we just got our car back from the shop and we were praying that it was just some basic repairs, which,
Uh-huh.
monetarily speaking, I don't want no money coming out of my check, out of my bank
Right.
account, but I would rather this amount of money come out versus having to pay a monthly car payment.
Have
So
to buy
luckily,
a whole new car. Yeah.
right. So we avoided that problem.
Dodge that bullet.
Yeah, yeah. But what I was gonna say is, my wife, she actually is a fan of the Volvo SUVs.
Really?
So if if we had to finally start looking for a new vehicle, probably a Volvo was going to be next on our list. So um the XC40, the C40 Recharge, and the coming EX30 and the EX90, which is the full size SUV. Those will be able to test. Let me get my words together. Volvo will provide a adapter that will work for the Tesla supercharger network. Any newer vehicles will automatically have that functionality. So, I don't know what this means. I don't it's not supposed to be a competition, but you would think that a lot of these companies, and we talked about this before, you
Mm.
would think a lot of these companies will kind of race to compete against Tesla. But it seems like they are recognizing that Tesla is the leader when it comes to charging availability. And instead of putting up their own networks to compete, they are saying, all right, well, you got the product, so we'll just use yours. You
Yeah.
know, I guess my question to you is, is that enough for companies to still say they are competing against Tesla if they're also partnering with Tesla?
I
You
think
know,
so.
go ahead.
I think so because the biggest difference is these are just the charging ports, right?
Mhm.
So it's not the actual technology behind running the actual vehicle. It's just
No,
a charging port.
right?
And I think at the end of the day, it comes down to money. And I think a lot of these businesses, they recognize the climate. They realize that Tesla already has a large network of chargers available. And just as in this article, as it says, for older vehicles, they will have an adapter
Mhm.
that can go into the Tesla. So that can work opposite as well. They could just be using
Oh, that's
Tesla
true.
in the interim,
No, that's true.
and they can always say, you know what, we
We
decided
off
we
that
actually
now.
want to build our own thing. So we're just gonna, create an adapter that's Tesla shaped that goes into our own port if we decide to, if the competition, that's why I don't think it's an issue with some of the third party, the other EV charging companies. I
Mhm.
don't really think I think the issue is right now so many people are on the bandwagon, but to me it doesn't count them out because again, you can always make an adapter. If people see the competition, again, competition is good for the consumer. If some of these other companies step up their game, they can offer a better price, they can offer more charging stations. What is it for these companies to say, you know what, Tesla, we had a good run, but this company over here, they have a better product. So we're just
Right.
going to make an adapter to pop on to what we were using for Tesla to plug into theirs. So it's
Right.
one of those things where it's fairly interchangeable. I don't think this is a long-term solution. I think it's just an interim type of deal because
Okay.
again, Tesla has the biggest range of of charging stations. They're easy to use, they're easy to spot,
Mhm.
and it's saving money for Ford, for GM, for Rivian, and now Volvo to not have to make that initial investment of
Right.
having to create this whole infrastructure around charging ports. So
Mhm.
I think they're just taking it as like, hey, Elon has done this work, so let's jump on this bandwagon until we figure out exactly what strategically we want to do as far as our charging networks.
And that makes sense because, electric batteries for vehicles is brand new. That
Mhm.
technology definitely could use some growth,
Mhm.
definitely some new, innovation as it relates to it, which will make them easier to produce, which will make it more faster for them to produce. And again, there may be some new revolutionary technology, whether it be hydrogen based. There's, there's still vehicles out there to where you can use hydrogen to power up the vehicle, solar, you
Mhm.
know, um, um,
And who knows what else these think tanks are just thinking up,
right.
out there. We don't know what's coming down the pipeline. So,
Mhm. There's a
yeah.
new company. What's the name of this company? It's an
Are
electric
they EV?
vehicle. Huh?
Are they EV?
Yeah, it is. They make some nice looking cars, but anyway, their SUV coming out. I think it's Fisker, but they've been out for a while. Fisker, and
Mm.
there's another company that are making vehicles with the roof is solar powered to where, in
Hmm.
addition to being a electric vehicle via the battery, it uses solar power
If
on
you
the
just
roof.
parked outside, you can charge from the sun. Smart.
Right, right,
Cool.
right. So all that to say, you make a good point in the sense that this could just be just an interim play while new technology is being developed to where that it make it cheaper, a whole new way to charge to where, like you said, they can just pop that adapter off and go with whatever's new.
Yep.
All right, all right. So that is it for second string. We're gonna move right into for the culture where we talk about anything socially going on in these streets, whether literally socially as far as socioeconomic or just in social media, right? So I saw this tweet or
Mhm.
video this lady posted, and a lot of strong opinions as it relates to her decision, as it relates to
Mhm.
her marriage. So
Right.
I'm just without any sort of, I'm not gonna front load with any sort of opinions or anything. I'm just going to put this on the screen and hopefully you all can hear it on who are listening to it on audio. So I'm just gonna play it. It's about a minute long, and it's this young lady talking as it relates to her marriage. All right.
Last year I turned 40, and these are things that I would not do again in my 20s and 30s. I would not get married. I met my husband when I was 24, and we got married when I was 29. At the time, I thought that this was like the ideal situation. I met the perfect age to get married. But what I realized was in the 4 years that we were married, I grew so much as a person. I graduated from business school, started my own business. I just became such a different person that I didn't feel like he was the best fit for me anymore. And I don't think I could have realized that at 29 when I said yes. If I could do it again, I would have allowed myself to have so much more growth in my life before I made a decision on a life partner. And it's really nothing against that partner specifically, but it was more about the direction that I wanted my life to take. My interests by 35 were unrecognizable to my younger self. And I don't think it would have been fair for me to take him on this journey if I didn't think that he was the right partner for the version of me that was to come. Last year I turned 40.
All right. So that is the tweet where she's expressing her concern, well, not her journey as far as it
Mhm.
relates to who she is and the growth that she has made as it relates to her relationship, right? I have a lot of thoughts on this. So let me
As the married person on the show, I'm going to defer to you.
oh um so she is all right, let's see if I can phrase this and get all my thoughts into one stream that makes sense. I get it. As I'm getting older, I'm starting to recognize and even accept and even advocate for the fact that everybody ain't supposed to be married. Everybody ain't supposed to have kids. There are people out here who are whether either rebelling against the idea that you're supposed to get married after you graduate college and get a good job, or they always knew that marriage just ain't for me. Same thing for kids, as expensive as things are, whether it be college, all the way down into daggone, personally, I just had a son, my son, he's 6 years old, and he just was accepted into this soccer academy. And without him stepping on the field one time, I have already paid out almost $2,000
For a 6-year-old.
for a 6-year-old to join this academy for a year that I don't even know he gonna do anything with soccer 3 years down the road, right? So all that to say, as expensive as it is raising kids, at the environment in which kids are being raised now, I understand completely if somebody just said, "Hey, kids ain't for me," but our society says you're supposed to go to school, you're supposed to get a good job,
Mhm.
you're supposed to meet that person, you get
Mhm.
married, you have kids, right?
Mhm.
And there are people who are, like I mentioned, are either rebelling against that or just always knew that ain't my path. So they're doing other things, right?
Mhm.
Also, as you grow as a person, it makes sense that you are not the same. I am not the same person when I got married at 26. I think I got married at 26 or 24. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm not the same person when I got married as I am now. I am not starting. I am continuously learning new things about myself. I'm continuously growing personally as a individual that not necessarily unrecognizable. She says she's unrecognizable. I'm not necessarily unrecognizable. I know at the core who I am, and
Mhm.
these new things that I'm doing, learning, growing are adding to the person that I've always was. So that would be one of the few places I would disagree with her on, because I'm not unrecognizable. I am who I am. These new things
Right.
that I'm doing, marriage, kids, growth, are adding on to the person that I am, right? That who I am really wasn't going to change that much.
Right.
So I get it that for a person to get in a relationship and even get married and then experience life going forward, saying, "Hey, I am a different person. I'm a new person. Or more importantly, or not more importantly, but overall, I'm an evolved person, and I understand and recognize and accept that it's possible that people grow apart, right?
Mhm.
New interests, new everything, right? And that may jive with the person that at the point of us getting married, we agreed who we were. Because when you get married, you're getting married to that person in front of you, not necessarily the person,
The
even though
future person, but the
right,
current person.
even though in a marriage you're supposed to accept the fact that, or have a understanding, not necessarily accept it, but have an understanding that, you know, this is forever, regardless of what happens. That's where the in sickness and health, blah 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 blah, that comes in.
Mhm.
You're supposed to in my opinion, you kind of accept the fact that, okay, things are going to change. We're going to get more money, or we may lose all our money. You know, we may get awesome jobs, or we may lose the jobs. We
Right.
may, we may have 18 kids, or we may just have one kid, so you kind of you accept the fact that things are going to
The
change.
unknown.
Right, right. And you as long as you are not adversely affecting me as your partner or the relationship, we're supposed to grow, right?
Mhm.
And hopefully, the hope is you grow together, right? But
Mhm.
it's also a possibility that you could grow apart.
Mhm.
The things that you're doing are adversely different than what I'm doing. And in those cases, then it makes sense for you to part ways. Now, in my opinion, the things you're doing adversely is not just doing something that I don't recognize as your partner, but it's hurting me as your partner, right?
Mhm.
Infidelity, abuse, neglect, selfishness, self-centeredness, right? All of those things to me says, okay, you're growing, you're doing something, you own some other stuff. It ain't just you
Mhm.
growing, you own some other stuff that I can't jive
Right.
with. So you decide to part ways, right? Or abuse, danger, being a victim, right? Not necessarily being a victim, but treating your partner as property, all those things
Mhm.
lead to yeah,
The negative connotation of
right.
it,
We
the
growing
physical,
apart, Jack.
mental. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, right, right. But according to what she said, she didn't give any specifics.
Mhm.
So we don't know what she meant by growing apart.
Or him not being the person
That
that
she
she
right,
wanted to grow with.
right, right.
Yeah.
With the only two details was specifically she said, I have went to school and she got a degrees, and I think she
Start a
said
business.
she started a business or something
Mhm.
like that, right? So the reason why I thought this was interesting was because, of course, the internet, when you put something
Does
out
what the
on the
internet
internet,
does.
people are going to take their own experiences, their own life, uh, hard knock life, or whatever the case may be, positive or negative, and they're going to apply it to her particular situation and going to use those projections as
Mhm.
why she was right or if she was wrong. Of
Mhm.
course, as you can imagine, it follows along gender. Most of the men is like, man, you stupid because, you're supposed to grow together, yada, yada, yada. And the women are, a lot of the women are saying, yeah, I mean, it makes sense, because for the long time, women, we haven't been able to, we've had the submissive and approval, and we haven't been able to have our own. And now she's got
You
her
can open a
own.
bank account. You can have your own
Right.
money. You
Now,
can
if you
buy a
do all
house.
that,
Right. Yeah.
autonomy and agency and all these things. Right. So, um, I don't know where I sit on this
Mhm.
because, um, in my opinion, and I kind of referred to it a little bit earlier, is the idea is you grow together. And that doesn't mean what I now like, you
Mhm.
should also now like, right?
Right.
Perfect example, I've always been into games,
Mhm.
so wife knew that, she can accept that, right? Stuff. I've started to do new stuff. Like I'm
Mhm.
into anime, right?
Mhm.
So, I'm in anime, my wife, she may or may not watch, but that's just my thing, right?
Right.
Now I'm not comparing watching anime to, what this young lady has done. D- went to school, started businesses, or whatever the case may be. But I'm using those examples to say that I'm into some new stuff now,
Mhm.
but that doesn't necessarily mean that my wife, has to be a part of those things
Right.
or we got a problem, right?
Right.
It could just be some things that I'm interested in, right? I've always known that my wife is a singer. She sang at
Mhm.
our wedding. I was cool, wasn't cracking no tears. I wasn't the type that is I'm sitting up at the altar and I'm there with my bachelor party and my
Mm-hmm.
wife is coming down the aisle and I turn around and I bust out in tears. Nope, I ain't do it. When we said our vows, I wasn't sitting there crying. I didn't do all that. I was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was cool throughout our whole wedding up until the reception. And my wife sat me down in the chair and she sang some Whitney Houston. I lost it. Right.
Your thug was down.
Yeah, I lost it. So I'll let to say I knew she was in singing because she sang at our
Yeah.
wedding. So no, now she's starting to, she's always kind of sang here or there, but now she's starting to do more of it to where she's entering into contests and, contemplating, singing open mics and stuff like that, so she's growing,
Mm-hmm.
but she's not expecting me to 100%. Now I'm learning to play the piano because
Or you
she
her
wants.
manager now.
Right,
Oh.
right. You know what I'm saying? So, she's growing,
Mm-hmm.
and I accept the fact that she's growing into this different new she's evolving,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know, I think the only issue I have with what this young lady saying is I get the impression, again, I don't know nothing about her, but I'm getting the impression that she's saying that because I am growing and I'm totally unrecognizable from the
Mm-hmm.
person that I was when we first got married, it's not fair for me to bring this person on this journey with me
Mm-hmm.
because this is something totally new to me. And I'm thinking, well, that to me, that's like the beautiful part. The beautiful part
Mm-hmm.
is you share, you the in my opinion, the whole point of finding a relationship. And I ain't even just talking about marriage. I'm just talking about finding a partner.
Mm-hmm.
The whole part of you are a whole person.
Mm-hmm.
You are not necessarily looking for this other person to complete you. You're
Not
not
a half to complete a half, but two wholes coming
right.
together. So
And
instead
and
of
the
100%, you're 200% at this point. If
right.
you're thinking about it
And the
numerically.
and the phrase that I use is you're not looking for somebody to make you happy. You're looking for somebody to share your happiness with.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see, again, I don't know nothing about her background. I don't know nothing about this dude, but I don't get the impression that she was looking for somebody to share her happiness with. I think she was looking for, it seems to be looking for somebody that not necessarily completes her, but can be happy on the same level that she is happy. And she didn't use
Mm-hmm.
happiness, and that's unfair to me to say that.
Right.
But I guess I don't get the impression that she was looking to share her happiness with this person. The person that she's looking for on this new journey has to um I identify or um recognize who she is, where she is on this level,
Mm-hmm.
right? For it to work. And
Yeah.
then the way she explained it is, let's just say she married this dude, she's changed as a person, it's unfair to bring this person along. She gets divorced. Let's just say she finds a new person and then she changes again. Does that mean this new person is not, that's the only concern that I
Yeah.
hope she's looking at it as, you know, it's like the whole old saying go, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, right?
Yeah.
And if you're always looking for, well, the next step, the next step, the next step, the next step, you're going to miss all the exciting things that happen along the journey. So I just
Yeah.
hope, I'm not saying that's what she's saying. I just hope I hope that's what she's doing is making sure she finds somebody that she's able to grow with. And again, maybe it could have been in that little two little things she mentioned about her getting a degree and her starting a job or starting a business. Maybe the dude was a bum. Maybe he was a mooch. Or maybe going back to Ebony K. Williams, he just drove the bus.
Yeah.
And an old girl was like, nah, I'm moving up
Mm-hmm.
and you aren't doing what I think you should be doing. So it's unfair to me to take you along with this journey. It's just
Yeah.
best that we part ways, which I ain't got no problem with if you
Mhm.
decide that, hey, after soul searching, after counseling, after whatever the case may be, or just looking at you stuck on this same level,
Mhm.
it's just clear that we ain't just gonna work. And I would much rather you say, let's just Splitsville versus living this life that you, this young lady, or anybody ultimately
Mhm.
will regret or just won't,
Yeah.
it won't be fulfilled. It won't be
Yeah.
fulfilling.
Yeah, so for me, the thing that stuck out to me, it wasn't the degree and the business was secondary. It's what she initially said. And it's that, you're expected to, once you get a certain age, get married. It sounded like to me she was going into this with societal expectations. She met him
Right.
at 24, they got married at 29. I don't know her background or her, she didn't give a lot of information, background information on that. But based on what she said, they met at 24, they got married at 29. It could be one of those things where, you graduate with your undergraduate degree. The next step is people are asking, when are you going to get married? And so
Mhm.
she was like, well, I guess it's time for me to get married. I don't know if she was necessarily going into the marriage, you know, thinking that far ahead or what she could accomplish or what she want to accomplish. Maybe she didn't even know that she had, some different aspirations. But it's basically, following, I hate to say conveyor belt, but conveyor belt of, what's the logical next step in being an adult. That was a thing that stuck out to me, that she wasn't necessarily, going into this partnership or marriage with, that in mind. It was just something to kind of tick off the boxes. Now, when we get to she went and got her MBA, she started her own business. I'm assuming, because she did this whole video, that her business is very successful. So it was one of those things where she got to the point where she realized, I've unlocked this new level of ambition or desire or, life goal. And I've unlocked that. I've done the work to get to where I want it to go. And now I'm making more money. I have more accessibility. I have more options. And recognizing that the person that she's with is not the person that she wants to grow with. We don't know if he didn't want to grow. We don't know those types of things. But I do think I read some of the comments and people were kind of down here. Oh, she's got more money than him now. She thinks she's better than him. To me, my thought process is she recognizes that this is not the person that she wants to be with anymore. He could very well feel that same way. Even if he doesn't, she made the decision to say, hey, I'm not going to stay in this marriage that makes me unhappy, that makes my partner unhappy. So I'm going to make the call and the tough decision to say, "Hey, you know what? This isn't working. I don't want to be in an unmatched marriage or an unfulfilling marriage. So I'm going to take the step and say, hey, let's go ahead and end it for the greater good of both of us as we go forward." So those are kind of the ways that it came across to me, and some of the things that I thought. And again, I'm not married. I've never been married.
Well,
So that's
but
just kind of, the thought process from that, from what, my experience is based on what she said.
well, at the same time, you being unmarried and being successful at your profession, you know, um, this kind of goes along with, not necessarily double standard,
Mhm.
but a lot of men,
Mhm.
one of the main couple reasons a unmarried man, like he's like in his 30s or something,
Mhm.
and he's unmarried, never been married. And they, well, why have you been married? Most of the not excuse, the reason why they say it is, well, I need to get myself together.
Mhm.
I need to, make sure I can support myself. I need to get my
Mhm.
finances straight. I need
Right.
to make sure I get my career straight. Right.
Right.
That could be because, like you said, that conveyor belt thing. Well, not conveyor belt, the expectation of, well, as a man, I'm supposed to provide for the family. And if I don't feel
Mhm.
I can provide for myself, let alone provide for my family, I just ain't gonna do it. Right.
Mhm.
Um, the double standard thing comes into place where I don't think we expect women to have that same thought.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? To where, um, women say, well, I haven't explored, myself, self-care, all the buzzwords that the women like to do, self-care,
Mhm.
all right. We don't expect women to have that same thought process to where it's like, well, I want to travel the world, or I want to get my master's degree, or and
Mhm.
use her specifically, I want to get my master's degree and I want to start a business before I can safely say, I'm ready for a relationship. I don't think we
Mhm.
expect that from one. So when they do say it in this situation, and then take it a step further, when she says, I wish I would have did that before I got married,
Mhm.
and but I didn't, and now I'm deciding that this is the best route for me. We kind of look negative at her
Sis
for
was
that
shaking the table.
particular reason.
She was shaking the table, and the men were not okay.
Right,
They were
right.
not okay with that.
Right, I'd expect that because, gender, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, um, like I said, again, like we said at the top, social media is a microcosm of how things really are. I think most relationships, whether it be married, whether it be lifelong partners, whatever the case may be, I think most of us, um, who are in relationships, understand that, it's not a marriage or a partnership is not something to where we are now one, right?
Mhm.
We are partners, but I'm still an individual and my wife is still an individual. So the journeys that we go on as a couple, as husband and wife, as mother and father of kids, as partners, as it relates to finances, as it relates to, household chores, as it relates to, sharing our happiness, those are the
Mhm.
things that make us partners, right?
Yeah.
I'm still a person, a
Yeah.
full-fledged 100% person. So is my wife, so
Mhm.
I don't want to believe that, you know, um, there's this new age of people who feel like, well, I don't want to even entertain the idea of a relationship
Mhm.
because I ain't found the person that's going to make me happy.
Mhm.
Because if you are waiting for somebody to make you happy, you're
You
going
gonna
to be
stay
waiting
waiting
for a long
forever.
time. Right. As opposed to, understanding that you are a person, finding and exploring happiness for yourself as it relates
Yeah.
to how that looks for you, and then necessarily don't expect somebody, your partner, to automatically have those same interests, or fulfill that happiness that you haven't been able to find on your own,
Right.
you
Right.
know. But I hope that most people understand that. And then, again, her speaking her truth is just her truth. That's not
Right.
necessarily what is the new wave supposed to be,
Yeah.
especially if you found somebody that shares your happiness and respects you as a person and gives you agency. Now, if the person ain't doing none of that, then yeah,
Right.
bounce, right? But if that
Yeah.
person, respects you as a person, treats you fairly, treats you how they want to be treated, understands and recognizes that you're a partner in this and is willing to share their happiness with you, it is perfectly okay for you to grow and evolve and maybe even change,
Yeah.
just so long as you understand that you are in a partnership, and all of this growing, evolving, and changing is for the betterment of yourself, but
Mhm.
also the betterment of the person you're attached to.
Right.
And if you can check those off the boxes, it don't necessarily mean you got to split from the person, but at the
Mhm.
same time, if, like you mentioned, if you felt like, I could, th- checking these, like you said, the conveyor belt thing,
Mhm.
I just did it because that's what I thought you were supposed to do.
Mhm.
It's fair for you to re-examine that as well.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And for her to make the decision to, because they were married, she said they got married at 29, she was 40. So they were married, you know, 10, 11 years. They knew
Right.
each other for maybe 15, 16 years. To me, for her to make that decision, she knew that person fairly well and she knew herself fairly well. And for her to say, you know what, the best decision is for us to divorce, to me, that said, she recognized that that person wasn't going to I guess, grow with her on the trajectory that she saw herself
Yeah, you
going
could,
in.
but you could only assume that though.
Yeah. And a
Um,
lot of it, and all this is
yeah,
assumption because she only gave us like a minute
yeah,
snippet with no really context in it. But to
which
make
could
that type of decision, to me, it indicates that,
which could be all fake anyway, because I don't believe nothing on social
yeah.
media. According to this one tweet,
Hmm.
according to this person who tweeted this video, it's got 48 million views.
Mm, mm, mm.
That's a lot of views, and
Could
I've
be an
seen,
engagement farm type thing. You
you
just never
know,
know.
we're
Yeah.
talking about it on our show, and we don't even talk about relationships like that, right?
Right.
So I don't put nothing past nobody.
Yeah.
So this
Absolutely.
very well could be a stunt, and this person ain't even been married the first, right? But at the same time, I've seen people pull pranks and tricks on the internet with way less information or with way
And
less.
it's a conversation starter.
Right.
And I'm sure she's gotten all sorts of engagement
Of
from this. If
course.
the person who posted this has 40 million views, then
Imagine.
the originator, you can
Right.
only imagine. And we don't know where her business is. Is her business in this space? Is this something
Probably.
she's
I
linking to her
look,
business to sell a
I would
course or
I would do
something?
it. I would do it. If my wife cheated on me and did all these crazy things, I'd be on here like, yeah, we just grew apart and it's okay to not be able to, and then show up on, Good Morning America, get this book
Hmm.
deal popping,
Yep.
go to Essence. Because if she was a sister, she'd be at Essence
At Essence next week.
immediately,
Have
so
her own Facebook show, her own
right.
YouTube show,
Mhm.
all of it.
Right. So but like I said, it's a good conversation starter, how people
Absolutely.
view marriage, how they view relationships, and how people view, what takes place during a relationship. And does that
Yeah.
necessarily mean that just because we've grown means we've grown apart, or can we
Mm,
grow together? That's
yeah.
like the ultimate conversation. And I don't believe the statistics that say, 50-60% of marriages in divorce. I believe the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and the people who are getting divorced are out here running their mouths
Yeah.
versus the people who are married, happy, not just married, happily
Yeah.
married,
Yeah.
doing all the things that are exemplary of a productive, loving
Yeah.
marriage. We
Yeah.
just out here getting married and doing it, right? We ain't
And
necessarily
just living life, and you're
right.
enjoying your life, and you're not, out here doing videos and posts and all those things because
Right.
you have your life, you're happy with it, and you're just living it.
Right. So, just all that to say, um, you do have to be careful. And we mentioned it
Yeah.
before, taking a post on social media and assuming that's how things are now,
Yeah.
you'd be doing yourself a disservice. But at the same time, things change,
Yeah.
marriages change. I wouldn't have said 10 years ago that everybody ain't supposed to get married and everybody ain't supposed to have kids. Cause I was like, well, that's one of the two of the things that I am striving for is to get married
Right.
and have kids, to be a father, a
Right.
husband, and a husband and a father, right?
Right.
So a man not want to do that, it's like, man, you want some other stuff. But again, I think it's healthy that people are saying, I don't know if men were kind of getting a negative connotation for saying, no, I just want to wait and get married because I ain't got my finances together. I'm assuming people say, well, you're supposed to find somebody, you know, at your lowest. And then when you grow with that person and then you make all the money, now you got all the money to share it with, but I don't know if that's necessarily, that ain't, that
I'm not
is an option.
co-signing that one.
That ain't the main option, and then conversely, I don't think it's fair for women to just feel like as soon as they got quote unquote childbearing hips, they supposed to be
Mhm.
going looking for a man to get married and have his babies versus you
Yeah.
going in and exploring a
Doing your own
career
thing.
and
Yeah.
yeah, doing your own thing, for people too, men and women, because like the
Absolutely.
very fourth tweet under this reply is a woman talking about, oh, you just outgrew him because you got money, you know, um, that ain't fair to this lady,
Yeah.
because just because she said, I'm doing new things. For example, I got a degree and I got started a business. Those are not the only two things That's just
Right.
2 things she mentioned. She could have been doing all
Right.
kind of things, but the only
Right.
thing she mentioned, that ain't necessarily indication of, well, I've outgrown
That's
him.
the sole reason why she
Right, right,
ended her marriage. Yeah.
and I think more women personally, this is not women's responsibility, but I think more men would straighten up quick, fast, in a hurry if if we didn't have all the options, right?
Mhm.
I think a lot of
Well, I
men.
mean, I don't know because that's happening and it's the whole thing of, well, you're going to be alone. You're just a bitter woman now. You've expired past your prime
I
because I
think,
mean, I've seen those conversations. I've heard those conversations. I've been
but
in those conversations.
I think those conversations are happening because the people who are saying it aren't at the disadvantage, right? It's
Mhm.
easy for me to say, as a married man with a wife and kids, to say, that's why you're gonna be single because you're out here, da 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 da. I got mine.
Mhm.
Now, if I'm out here struggling to find a lady, and the ladies are like, nah, son, I'm out here, traveling or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be, again, that's not the responsibility of women. Ultimately, I
Right.
think, if men are supposed to be the true, heads of household, then we should be living that life that says that, right? We shouldn't be waiting
Right.
around for women to run out of options, or to
Right.
not necessarily run out, be fed up with the options that's presented to them, and
And
then
just
start to
take
do
what they
these other
get.
things.
Yeah.
And then as a result of them doing other things, men are starting to fall in the line. It's like, all right, well, wait a minute. Well,
Hold on. Let me try and get myself together real quick
well,
because
if you want,
they're not swarming like I'm expecting
right.
with me doing the bare minimum. So yeah.
I
So
still
it's
think the ratio of men to women is heavy in favor of men, so it's easy for us
absolutely.
to say,
Absolutely.
to point judgment. But if give it a
Because you got the
generation,
best because the men have the best options. It's the women who don't have the
right?
best options. I saw quick funny thing. Brisha Webb, she's an actress. She's hilarious. She
Hmm.
was on Touret's show. And she recently got married. I think she's 39, 40. And he, was asking, he was like, well, you said that you didn't think you were ever get married. And she was like, you know, um, the options are there, but she was like it's like she equated to, like, she was like it's just a tumbling. She was like, there's leaves and debris. You'll see a shiny wrapper, that's wrapper meaning like a gum wrapper, and you're
Hmm.
like, ooh, that's something, and then you go and you see that it's flat and that it's nothing, and she was like, oh, there are options out
Hmm.
there. They just aren't very good. So it's
Right.
one of those things where there's plenty of men that are
Hmm.
out there, that are single, that are available. But the thing is it comes down to the quality of it as well. And we've already said that Black women are the most educated population demographic in the country. So it always is going to be kind of like that balancing act of, options are there, but are the options that are available to you, are they attractive to you? Do they fit your lifestyle? Do they complement you? Is that the type of person that you want, or is it just, well, he's there and available, so I guess I'll take this one? It's not something more of, yes, this is, my person that, I want to be with, rather than just saying, oh, well, it's either option of being alone or having something that I don't necessarily want. So it's very much that balancing act. As a single woman with single other women friends who are single as well, that's what a lot of the conversation really revolves around. Like, again, the options are out there. There is inventory, so to speak, but not all inventory is inventory you want to acquire.
Right. Right. Yeah. Now, like I said, a lot of brothers out here feel like they ain't got to put their best foot forward because
They have so many
they
options,
have so many options.
really good
So,
ones too.
and then not even really good ones. The problem, not the problem, the what is happening is men are going for the easiest option, the
Mm,
path of least resistance.
resistance, because then that means
And
that they don't have to be exceptional. I hate to say it, but if
right,
they, yeah,
right,
that's kind of what it is, right?
right. And again, that goes back to my whole thing, this is not women's responsibility, but
Right.
at the same time, women, unfortunately, once you start to raise your expectations and are
Mm-hmm.
okay with the end result, because there are
Mm-hmm.
women that talk a good game, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, like Friday, when old girl is talking to Craig, his girlfriend is talking to him on
Uh-huh.
the phone, like, well, I saw you with that girl at the movies or whatever, 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 whatever.
Uh-huh.
Tell me who she was, whatever the case may be. Trying to force Ice Cube's character to be a better man.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, she got old boy in the back laying in the bed.
We missed that so much when this movie first came out.
Uh,
Nobody really noticed it, and then it was
all that
pointed out.
dude.
It was like, oh snap! She got a
Right.
whole dude laying in the bed beside her.
Right. So my point, the point I was getting at is, women saying that men need to do better
Mm-hmm.
and really not bluffing, right? And not messing with these dudes who are clearly they know ain't about nothing. Once
Right.
get to that real level, because I don't think we there yet, right? Women, there are some women. I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying all of them. Please don't
Right.
mistake me. But there are some women that be like, "Yeah, dude, you need to you." And then meanwhile, it's like, "All right, well, stand on it now."
Yeah.
And again, that's not women. I say it a third time. It's not women's responsibility, but
Right.
men, we tend to go
Yeah.
where the path lead. And if there's no resistance, I mean, not you say least resistance. If men really like, oh man, I really got to be a better man out here.
Yeah.
you know?
I think we're turning that corner,
Mhm.
because I think men are now realizing when they say to single women, especially single Black women, we're just going to be alone. And women like, okay,
Right. And men,
I have community. I have friends. I have family. I have organizations. Can travel the world. I can do all those things. And the gotcha of where you're just going to be unmarried
trying to
and with
guilt
no
trip them
kids.
into
Right.
it.
And
Yeah. And
it's not working so much anymore. And now they're
uh-huh.
like, oh crap, they're catching
Mhm.
on. What are
Yeah.
we gonna do?
And again, social media is doing these brothers a disservice, because they see some of these women that in the past they could get, and now
Mm-hmm.
these women are like, nope.
Nah, I'm
And
good.
and like I said, we ain't there yet. We ain't there yet, but we're
It's getting there.
almost there, to
Yeah.
where, like you said, women are starting to say nope, and we
I'm
ain't they
good.
ain't folding. You
Right.
talk about poker. Men, they put their cards out there and they want the woman to bluff, and women do bluff, but then women like, nope, I call you,
I
all in,
call.
push it on.
Let me
Then
see your cards.
right now, then like, wait a minute, now I gotta actually have some cards, right?
Right.
And then I think, like you said, we talking in the pre-show about, self-correcting versus, we talking about housing market and things like that. Same thing in the relationships.
Yeah.
Hopefully this, women and men, for to a certain extent,
Yeah.
are starting to realize that, just marriage and partnerships, just for the sake of partnership and marriage, just to be with somebody, is not necessarily the only way to do it as far as happiness is concerned. And I think the more people start to explore themselves and find out
Mm-hmm.
what makes them happy, men and women,
Yeah.
you know, we'll be better people. Now, in the
Absolutely.
meantime, it's going to be a lot of this,
I'm
but we
telling
just
you,
got
it's
to
a
wade
struggle bus
through it.
out here. It
Yeah,
is the
the ultimate.
struggle bus.
Yeah, well, I think we'll come out on the other side, I hopefully before this
Yeah.
relationship market crash, or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
All right, so enough of that. We're gonna move into the hookup real fast. This is a product hookup. I recently got if you're not familiar, pop sockets. You know what those are?
Mhm.
The little thing you can put on the back of your phone, and it pops out, and you kind of use it
You can
as
hold it.
a
A
yeah,
stand, you can hold it. Yeah.
yeah. So I, recently got one, right?
Mhm.
But it's not necessarily a pop socket. It does all the things, so where I can put my hand to where I can just hold it with one hand. I don't have to use my
Mm.
thumb or whatever the case may be. It can be a tripod or whatever. But the reason why I like this one is called the OhSnap 3 Pro. And what makes it better than your traditional pop socket is in the application. Because with the traditional pop socket, you have to peel off the adhesive backing and very, very carefully place the pop socket in the middle of your phone if you're looking at the screen for those watching, you very,
Mhm.
very carefully have to place it in the middle because the adhesive is going to stick. And that
Mhm.
means wherever you placed it is wherever it's going to be
That's
until
where it's gonna be.
right. But the benefit of this OhSnap 3 Pro from OhSnap is the company is this is MagSafe. This is not adhesive. So at any time, as you can see, I don't have a case on my iPhone 14 Pro Max, but my iPhone 14 Pro Max has MagSafe. So let's just say I've got this OhSnap 3 Pro on my phone and I want to put a case on my phone because I'm going outside or whatever the case may
Mhm.
be. I can easily just take this thing off because it's using the MagSafe capability to
Mm.
attach it to
To
my phone,
snap.
like to
Yeah.
snap exactly to snap it to my phone. That's I guess OhSnap. That's where it came
Oh,
from.
snap. Yeah.
Right. Versus traditional pop sockets, I would have to peel the thing off and possibly damage where I can't use it again if I
Mhm.
want to use it, put it in a case or whatever the case may be. But similar to how I just take my phone and put it on the pad to charge it, same way I put it on my car vent hook to hold it up on my car so I can, do navigation. Same way I can do this OhSnap um, phone grip. So for anybody out there that has a MagSafe compatible iPhone, definitely take a look at the OhSnap 3 Pro. It makes it so much easier to put it on and take it off whenever you want to. So we'll make sure to put a link in the show notes if you definitely want to check that out. But other than that, Nica, if we don't have anything else, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Definitely tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Tech Savvy Diva on all of the social media sites.
All right. And you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH. If you're interested in following the show, if you want to follow our social medias, if you want to download the podcast, again, if you want to support to the show financially, you can do all that by going to our website. If you go to snoboscast.com, go to our website, you can get all the information, download the show, support the show financially. Do whatever you need to do because we much greatly appreciate your support all this time. So until next week, we are out. Peace.
Bye, everybody.